Hi, thanks for listening to the Monthly Social here on YouTube. If you haven't already, please click the subscribe button. It would mean the world to us. All right, hope you enjoy the rest of the show. Take care. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Monthly Social Music Spotlight. I am your host, Guido Perino, and with me today is the lead vocals of the Wrecking Machine band we've banged the bells with, Eric Davis of Babylon AD, with news of new songs, an album, and tours as we explore his journey from the birth of the band in the Bay all the way to Rome today. Derek, thank you for being here today. The pleasure is ours. How are you?
Thanks for having me, man. Yeah, it's great to be here. Can't wait.
Right on. You're looking good. And I mentioned in the opening the Bay as a reference to San Francisco Bay, where your band Babylon AD emerged. Is that still your home base?
Basically, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, everybody's pretty much within about a 45-mile-an-hour radius, but we're all still here, you know.
That's right on. Giving love to the Bay still. Look, what can you tell us about the Bay that's different today from when you first belted out your first band vocals?
Well, when we first started years ago, the music machine was just the whole scene was off the hook. There was clubs open every night. Anyone could go out probably 6 nights a week. Maybe Sunday was a little low, but you could go out to a club on Monday, do a jam night on Tuesday. I mean, there was clubs everywhere. And, you had the Keystone Palo Alto, the Keystone Berkeley, the Omni, the Cabaret, Nile Station. You probably had 10 clubs around here, around the San Francisco Bay Area that bands played at all
Yeah.
the time. 5, 6 nights a week, man. The place was really rocking. And now, nosedive. Just
What
down.
happened? What happened, man?
I don't know, man. I think music changed a little bit. Everybody got older. Different types of music started taking over. There's a lot of that EMD stuff that my kids listen to and stuff like that, and they go to those kind of rave clubs and everything, and everybody does a lot of mollies and stuff like that, and they think that's cool. And they got that same beat over and over for about 4 hours, and doesn't make sense to me, man. But like my wife said, you're getting old. I'm like, it doesn't make any sense.
No,
But
no, no, we're
yeah,
not
I
getting
think
old.
it's kind of like YouTube. Video killed the radio star. It's kind of like different types of music killed the music scene, and also it's just not as vibrant, man. But like I'm going to go to San Francisco tomorrow and do some interviews and stuff at some radio stations. But every time I go there, which it's about a half hour from my house, and every time I go to the city, it's just not the same, man. It's there's a lot of trash, a lot of bums running around and stuff. It's crazy, man. It's just doesn't have the same vibe. You know what I mean? So it's sad to say, but I wouldn't recommend anybody taking their vacation there. I think they'd want to get on a plane and go back home.
It's funny you talk about like how some of these places started shutting down and we're talking about the Bay, but I've moved around. I've lived in a few different cities throughout the years, and I could tell you that I probably witnessed the same thing. I witnessed where some of the bigger rock clubs where there was a lineup to get in.
Yeah.
They just ended up closing down, and now maybe you've got one or two, or maybe you've got a night where they do like a rock night or something like that.
Yeah.
But it just isn't what we were accustomed to growing up with, or
Yeah, I can honestly
anything
say
of
that
it.
in the whole entire Bay Area, because we
Mhm.
we we still play out, like we played out on Saturday night. We played a place called Retro Junkie, and that's
Yeah.
one of the few places that still have nationals come through. I would say there's probably two or three places in a 50-mile radius in the whole Bay Area that you could even play live show. Everything
Wow.
else is dead as a doornail, and I think COVID helped too, kind of put the nail in the coffin, right? That kind of messed everything up too, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
uh, most of the other states I know, Arizona, Texas, Florida, just to name a few, Los Angeles, there's more clubs starting to open again. I don't
Yeah.
know if you've noticed that in your neck of the wood, but there's a lot of rock clubs starting to spring up again in the last year or so. So
Yeah, I've noticed, through talking to folks like yourself and other bands, there's a bit of a resurgence that
yeah,
we're experiencing.
definitely you can feel it.
Um,
Yeah,
Yeah, and what I've noticed, we talked about generations there for a moment, Derek. Our generation is getting back into it, and we have a little bit more time now, so we're revisiting it. But then the kids are going, "Hey, what are you listening to? Hey, wow, that sounds different than what we're listening to," and they're starting to catch on and listen. I know, my son, he's a little bit older, and he's kind of getting into that, and hey, what are those things, or what is that band, sort of thing, and they start
Yeah, I
asking
kind of think
questions.
there's almost like a lost generation
Yeah,
that didn't really have their own type of music for maybe
right.
15 years or something. And yeah, there's a lot of people just rediscovering Babylon
Yeah.
AD that are young,
Right, right.
and hard rock bands that are young. They're kind of like, well, how, I'll hear stuff like, man, I feel like I was born in the wrong century or whatever it is, the wrong decade, because this is the stuff I dig, and the stuff that they were fed when they were teenagers was just not, there was nothing to grab onto.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it just had a little bit of a, and I'm not disparaging any of the artists over the last 20 years by any means. It's just there was some a generic feel to it at times, right? And
Yeah,
and
and if you think about it, a rock band,
yeah,
like you hear about the Beatles the first time and the Rolling Stones and stuff. A band is kind of like a gang, right? Or it's
yeah,
like a team. So
yeah,
you go, man, I like, Guns N' Roses, man, because
yeah,
they look like a gang,
yeah,
so I like that, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
a lot of these kids the last 20 years, they didn't have no gangs to join.
No.
They had Justin Bieber. You know what I mean? Are you gonna join his gang? Maybe if he's, you know what I'm
He's
saying? Like,
up here in Canada. He's designing donuts and hockey jerseys with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So
yeah,
I guess you could do that. But you know what? The gangs, right? And it's the colors, it's the t-shirts, right?
yeah,
You
exactly.
start wearing the colors of the band and of the gang.
Yeah,
So
I'm
look at
representing this. Got my patch on, and this is who, this is
right.
who I'm. Yeah,
You know what? I have a drawer full of my badges and things that I
yeah,
wore, and you get
exactly.
into that, right?
Why? And I
Uh,
got all my old T-shirts and everything, and won't
right.
give.
I won't. I got some that probably are on their, like, probably should be retired.
Yeah, I got a few of those too, man.
But it's hard letting go, right? There's memories attached to those things, you
Too
know?
many memories, too many good memories, man.
Look, Derek, help me clear something up, because we started talking, we started talking Babylon here, Babylon AD. So in terms of Babylon AD getting on the map, you get signed by Arista Records. It's 1989, and Clive Davis inks you guys to a deal. So
Yeah.
what's the event, or what's the moment that makes that happen, and where exactly is that?
Uh, well, try to make a short story. The A&R guy, Randy Gersten at AOR at the Arista Records. I'm sorry. He'd seen us a couple times live, and so he talked to Clive and said, "Man, these guys got it. I mean, we were playing the same time that Tesla and Guns N' Roses were playing.
Yeah.
We're around the same circuit and stuff.
Yep.
We actually practiced with Guns N' Roses, shared a studio with them.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of good traction, a lot of labels were looking at us at the time. So I think my manager set me up with a songwriter named Jack Pawnee. I'm not sure if you're familiar with
Yeah.
him, but he's written a lot of songs, and he's a great songwriter. And he's out in New Jersey, Tom's River, New Jersey, where like he was writing with Bon Jovi. He was actually in Bon Jovi's first band,
Yep.
you know. So I wrote a few songs with Jack Pawnee, and the A&R guy gave them to Clive Davis. And Clive Davis loved the songs. He said, "Okay, I want to see these guys." So he came out and seen us in San Francisco at a showcase, and literally we've been together for about 8 months, man. Not long at all, So we were green, you know what I mean? And we did our best to try to convince him that we were ready, but he could tell, man. I mean, he signed, Janis Joplin, Aerosmith, Santana. He knows, you know what I mean, that we were green. But he took me aside after we did the showcase for him. He said, "Look, Derek," he goes, "I love your songs, I love your presence, everything." He goes, "But you guys right now, you're just starting. I need to see some growth, man. I need to see that grit, more gigs under your belt, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So let me see how you guys do in about another 6 months or so." So, but that was, I tell you, just him telling me that and me telling the band what he said and everything was just such a phenomenal thing, because it was like, man, I'm talking to Clive Davis, you
Right.
know. such a big thing for me because I had just read his book Off the Record. And I told him that. And it was funny. He says, "You read my book?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Wow, I didn't even know that was in print anymore." I go, "I found it at the library." You know? And so I think that kind of, warmed him up to me a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was about 6 months later, we moved to Los Angeles, and we were all staying at this apartment called the St. James that they had just built, and everybody was there, man. Charlie Sheen was there. I mean, there was rock stars there, and there was actors and actresses there, and models and everything. It was right down the street from Hollywood Boulevard, man. So we thought we were in heaven, but there was 7 of us living in a 1-bedroom apartment, And literally, I swear to God, we got there, I think, on a Thursday night. By the time we pulled in a van, it was kind of like Scooby-Doo almost, man.
Yeah.
And we had all our equipment in a truck behind us, And Friday night, all of a sudden, our manager called and said, "Clive Davis wants to see you guys tomorrow at SIR Studios at 12 o'clock. We got to," man, the band just freaked out. We're like, "Holy shit, man, we just got here on a Thursday. We got to do it we're going to do a showcase for him on a Saturday." And we hadn't practiced for probably about, a month or so, or 3 weeks or whatever it might have been. But, man, he came down with two A&R guys from New York, and then our A&R guy from Los Angeles, Randy Gersten, and our manager. And that was it. And they sat on this big couch, right? And we were on this gigantic, huge stage that bands, like Motley Crue use, to get ready for their tours. And here we are on this huge stage, and these guys are on this couch, like about, 100 feet away from us, just sitting there. And so we had to get up on stage and act like we're playing for thousands of people, So we get up there and we're all animated and rocking out. And I'm running around the stage, pointing here, doing this, throwing a kick there, whatever it may be, And I think we played 7 songs. And as soon as we got done, as soon as we hit the last chord and went bang, it was like silence. You could hear like a pin drop, man. And then all of a sudden, literally, it seemed like he jumped out of the couch and kind of ran over to us and grabbed me by, my hand. And he goes, "Welcome to the family, boys. Welcome to the family. You done it." I got to tell you, man, it was the biggest high. I'll always remember that because it was such a high. It wasn't like just getting signed by an A&R guy at a record label really dig you. This was Clive Davis. You know what I mean? He's like he was a mogul at the time of the record industry. You know what I mean? And that's basically how we really got our deal, man. It took about another year before we had the record out and everything like that, but it was quite a journey, man.
When that first meeting with Clive, when he kind of says to you, "You know what, you need to work out a few things, you work on a few things for 6 months," and you get excited, do you ever walk away and think, "Oh, you know what? Is this gonna happen? Will it ever happen?" Like, was there ever a doubt, or did you guys like say, "Screw it, we're just going and this is gonna happen"? Was there doubt ever?
Well, we put put the pedal to the metal, man, and we just started practicing more.
Yeah.
We were practicing probably 2-3 days a week, and we do probably about 2-3 gigs a month, up and down the California coast. But then we just went into overdrive, man, because all of a sudden we were legit. We had other record companies starting to come to us. Other record labels actually were offering us deals. There were small kind of demo type deals, like we'll give you $10,000 to do a 3-song demo, that kind of thing.
Wow.
But our manager kept saying, "You guys, man, Clive likes you guys, man. Let's just keep going with that angle right there because, this will be a full-on deal. It may take a little bit longer, but this will be the big deal if we can get it." So, yeah, man, it was kind of like pinning your hopes on in that big, bread basket. You know what I mean? Of just Arista Records, Clive Davis. That was, and we had all of a sudden lawyers get involved and stuff. Right. So everybody's telling you, what to do. You're just a bunch of dumb kids, wanting to play rock and roll. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was.
So so after he signs you guys and you do that, do you end up working with him a bit, like post signing? Or
actually, it was kind of crazy because he would fly we were signed to Arista from 89 to 93. He must have flew me out to New York, just me, probably 4 or 5 times. and it was kind of weird because I didn't know really why, but I would get a phone call like in the middle of the day, and it'd be a secretary. Hey, Derek, Clive has a ticket for you. He wants you to be on a plane tomorrow, and come on out and sit in at the A&R meeting. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like I'm gonna say no. You know what I mean? Sure enough, dude, it was so weird because I would fly out there and I would sit in on the A&R on all the A&R meetings, and we'd be like, what's judging what was going to be a Jeff Healey single or Taylor Dane's single or Whitney Houston single, and here I am, and Clive always made me sit right next to him. So it was really weird, man. And I could tell the other guys at the A&R table are looking at me like, why is he listening to this son of a bitch? He's just a rock and roll kid from Hayward. You know what I mean? What does he know?
Derek, did you wear your sunglasses did you wear your shades at the table with Clive? Or?
No, I don't think I did. But there was a time that was really funny. I got to tell you this story.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there and I'm next to Clive. And Clive, he put the music on so loud, you would not believe it. It's a huge room with a huge table, probably 20 people sitting around, all A&R guys, marketing guys. And everybody's got their pins and their thinking hats and they're real professional. And they got their suits on. And Clive sits at the end of the table, like the big Godfather chief. And I'm sitting right next to him like his left-hand man, And he goes, let's hear that new Jeff Healey, the two songs that we're considering for Jeff Healey's new album. And put it on, right? I'm listening to the song and I'm thinking the whole time, man, in my mind, I'm thinking, this sounds just like ZZ Top. That's what I was thinking, right? So we get done and the song gets over. And so then they start discussing the song, everything. And so Clyde goes, well, I want to know what you think, Derek. What do you think about this song? And he goes, give me your honest opinion. Tell me what you think. And I go, honestly, it sounds just like ZZ Top to me. I mean, you should have seen those guys in the A&R guys that were there, the New York guys. Their jaws dropped. They were like, how do you know? Like, how do you know? I was like, how do I know what? Well, Billy Gibbons wrote that song for him. To me, it was obvious. And these guys were like, they thought they had something special, like that nobody would figure out. You know what I mean? Needless to say, I don't think that song became a single. They threw another one. It was just so weird because I'm thinking, who are you trying to fool, man? I mean, I could tell this is ZZ Top. You know what I mean?
What a thrill, though. I mean, from him signing you to sitting at the Arista table there and doing that. Like, I got to tell you a story of my own, and it's around your initial album, Babylon AD.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, a friend and myself, we were in university. We were living in Windsor, Ontario, which is right across from Detroit, right? And he and I were driving around, and Bang Go the Bells comes on, and I said, oh man, that song is so rocking, right? And he's like, yeah, I want to get the album. I said, yeah, me too, right? But we hadn't gotten it. We were coming from Sault Ste. Marie to Windsor, and so we were heading to an album store, and it wasn't one of the big, boxy stores or whatever. It was a local music store. I think it was on Ouellette Street in Windsor, and we, periodically we'd go there and buy a couple of albums. Money was tight, but music was important, right, Derek? So we go get our song. So I said, yeah, I'm gonna try and find that the Babylon disc and grab that. So we go and look through the catalog, Babylon AD, and there's a little card, sold out. My God damn it. Okay, well, whatever. We'll have to get it another day. And so we're still looking around, and I'm walking around, and there's another catalog area, and it says rock and roll metal. And so I start going through the CDs, and lo and behold, there's a Babylon AD, record sitting there. Yeah. So I grab it and I go over, and I my buddy, I hold it up and I go, check it out. And he comes running over, and I'm holding it, and he with his hand grabs the other end of it. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, I'm buying it. I said, no, you're not. This is mine. So I put my other hand on the bottom, and he's got it. And now we're fighting in the store. We're grappling over the album. Okay. And the shopkeeper looks over at us, right? And I'm thinking, he's going to call the cops. Would you let go of the album, right? So I won, and I got it. And to this day, the back of it still has a crack on it from us tugging and pulling on it or whatever.
What a great story, man.
Yeah, I had to pull that out. And I was like, when I started doing this show, I had, a list of, bef- as I'm doing these shows, there's bands that I'd like to eventually get on the show and talk to,
Mhm.
and you were one of those. So when this happened, I was like, I gotta go pull this off because I have I'm still old school. I love CDs.
Yeah,
Even
same,
today, I'll
man.
buy the CD. I don't mind buying the digital copy, but I also get the CD. And
Yeah,
so I had to go in my locked up shelf and pull it out or whatever. And I had to tell
yeah.
you, I won and I got it. I still have it.
That's great, man.
Yeah, and that I've taken the CDs with me all over the place, so it's a real treat having you here. So, look, so you release the album, you sign with Arista, you release the album, things are going good. We hear The Kid Goes Wild on the soundtrack for RoboCop 2.
Yeah.
So what brought that to life, Derek? And what's the band mood? Is you start mingling with Hollywood here. And I know you say, hey, I'm in LA and there's all these Hollywood things where we're staying at, but how do you land this? And then, how does that come out?
Well, so we did Hammer Swings Down was our first video, and then we did Bango the Bells, the video
Yeah.
singles back then. And then we did Bango the Bells, and that kind of put us even more on the map. Headbangers Ball was playing us more, and we're getting
Yeah.
some rotation across all the states. And then we were about to put out Desperate, the ballad.
Yeah.
And we thought, oh man, this is going to break us. And Clive always told me, he goes, I'm going to make this the dream on of, like Aerosmith. He'd tell me how he's going to do this and do that. So I was like, oh man, I can't wait. This is going to be great. You know what I mean? Desperate's coming up any day now.
Yeah.
They're starting to gear up radio for it. They're starting to make artwork. And all of a sudden, Orion Pictures calls our manager and calls our A&R guy and says, hey, we want to use this song Kid Goes Wild in our movie for RoboCop. And so they said, and we'll pay for the whole video. We'll pay for everything, and we'll use the song, and we'll put it on the trailers and everything. So then all of a sudden, Arista switched gears. They said, okay, they're going to play for the video. Videos
Yeah.
back then were $100,000, man.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so and we'll get RoboCop in it, we'll get the kid in it, and we'll do this, and we'll really play it up, and you guys will be in the movie and all this crap, right? So of course we couldn't say no, right? We're like all excited. Yeah, this is going to be great. We're still thinking we're going to release Desperate,
Yeah.
right? So then RoboCop comes out maybe about I don't know, a month or two later or whatever. And that song gets pretty good at the radio
Yeah.
station, everything like that. And we go to the record label. Now it's almost a year, man. Because it's about every 3 months you release something back in those days.
Yeah.
Now it's about a year. And we go back to the record company and we go, all right, we're ready for Desperate. And then they're like, oh man, we're just kind of exhausted, man. We're kind of exhausted on this record. We're trying to work something else. Oh my God, man. You could, man, the band was so disappointed. We were so bummed out. And we were like, what about Clive said this? I know Clive still wants to do it, but the rest of the company is like, let's move on. You guys got to start working on another record. It's been a year now. We toured the States multiple times, like 8 different times,
Right.
we did everything we could do, but we thought, hey, you just keep on going. We were just kids, man. We didn't know.
Yeah.
We thought you just keep on going. It doesn't matter how long, but to them, there's an agenda. They're a corporation. Well, they look at Babylon AD and go, well, let's see, they were released on October and it's November of the next year. It's time
Right.
for them to get on and start working on other stuff, no matter
Yeah.
how good that song is. That's what it felt like, so it was a blessing and it was a curse at the same time.
Yeah,
Because
I guess so. You got something out of The Kid Goes Wild that you didn't expect, but a letdown in terms of Desperate because you were waiting for that other thing to
yeah,
happen.
because you never know.
Yeah.
That could have broke us wide open.
Yeah.
It could have been our, whatever. It could have been our dream on. Who knows?
Yeah. Great song too. So but you're doing this. So let's talk about that. The music scene does start to change a little bit in the mid 90s. There's
Yeah.
this lean towards grunge, but Babylon AD, you guys don't flinch. You release a live album, you keep going with more new music. Like you play right through it, right? And not a lot of bands did that. There were some bands that took some longer breaks and they kind of got overwhelmed by the fact that there's this grunge thing happening. They didn't know what to do with it, some of them. What
Uh-huh.
motivates you to keep doing that while all this change is going on about you?
Well, to be honest, so I mean, it was about 94 probably, and grunge took over everything
Yeah.
back then. And we were all disillusioned with the music business, man, because when lawyers start getting involved and accountants start getting involved and everybody starts pulling at you from different places, and you got all these legal things going on that you don't know nothing about. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It just and then you lose your record deal. It's a big deal, man. So creativity is like, and then all of a sudden we're growing up, right? We're all getting married. We're starting to have kids. Some of us are Jamie, our drummer. He went back to college. You know, we're actually like, oh, I guess that was the funnest time of my life. But now I got to grow up and be a a regular person. You know what I mean? Instead of living in this fantasy for 10 years. You know, since you know you from high school out, you know, you're just living in a fantasy, and it's a great
Yeah.
fantasy. You know, but so it did take a few years, about another 5 or 6 years before we started working together seriously again. Um, I kind of dabbled in some blues stuff with Moonshine, the band Moonshine.
Yeah.
I did an album with them guys at Eddie Van Halen's house, and that was a little short, cool run, you know. So I was still writing and I was still
Yeah.
moving along, you know what I mean? But as far as Babylon ID goes, it was probably about a 5 year kind of a hiatus, like everybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I look at your hiatus and I think there was some longer there was longer breaks than Babylon. It seemed like you guys,
Oh, there's a lot of bands that,
you know,
yeah, I'm surprised even like
you
20
guys
years
kind of
later.
just went, all right, like all of a sudden, yeah, I get it. We're gonna take this little break. We did this thing, but you just kind of keep going with it. And even that, so you have a bit of a different lineup today than the AD of Babylon. Um, was that Derek? Was there a bit of a challenge in having some of the new membership and then keeping the essence of what Babylon was?
Absolutely not. It was just very, very kind of strange in a way, man, like fate or something, you know. Uh Eric had passed away, our bass
Yeah,
player that had taken Rob's place. Our original bass player had been playing with us 20 years. Rob got in a medical accident and couldn't play anymore. So Eric, Jamie's brother, the original drummer, Jamie's brother, Eric played bass, and he'd written some songs with me on American Blitzkrieg, and played bass for about a year
yeah.
back then too. So now Eric passed away, and then Jamie moved to Las Vegas and decided he just didn't want to be a part of, you know, he wanted to do something different. And so, you know, when we got offered another record deal, um, Jamie was the first person I called, you know, and he said, "Nah, man, I'm doing my own thing. You know, I got other stuff I want to do." So I talked to Ron and I talked to John. I said, "Well, what do you guys, you know, what do you guys want to do? We've got to get a rhythm section for this." And then Ron had been playing with these two guys, and he said, "Man, I already have the rhythm section. We don't have to look for nobody. These guys are great, you know." So me and John went to a rehearsal, you know, basically to check them out. And so we played like, I think we played about 8 Babylon AD songs. And I swear, man, it was the weirdest thing. We played those songs and it sounded like we could have got up on stage 15 minutes later. Those guys had this songs down to a T. I mean, every drum roll, every bass line, everything.
Huh.
And it sounded strong and fat. You know, worst thing a band like us could do is get a drummer that maybe he's really finesse, really good,
Yeah.
you know, Neil Peart, but it wouldn't work with us. You need somebody that's hitting hard and rocking, you know, like Denny Carmassi or something like that. You know what I mean?
So
So
it was just a fit. Like it just
it
happened
just
to
fit
fit.
just like that, man. And we started rehearsing right after that. The next week we started rehearsing and started writing new songs, just like that. And that was a
You
year ago.
you mentioned Eric Pacheco passing away, and of course that's James' brother. Condolences, right? Now, while Eric hadn't been in the lineup long at the time, how did that like how does that impact the band? Like how do you guys does it? Do you
Well,
guys recover?
you have to understand that all of us grew up in the same area, and
Hmm,
we've all known each other since we're kids. Like I've known Jamie since he was like 15 and Eric since he was 12. You know what I mean? We all we're kind of like, even though we're a band and maybe members kind of change places every once in a while, Eric
yeah.
and Rob, the bass players, they're best friends too.
Hmm,
You know, Danny De La Rosa, who played in the band for 20 years,
yeah.
played in bands with John at high school. So we're all kind of from the same area, and we all respect each other, and we all at some point write together or whatever. Um, so yeah, losing Eric was it was pretty pretty horrific and sad. You know, it's just
Yeah.
it's so weird when somebody that you know so well. I've written a lot of songs with Eric, and he was just a real Christian, good
Mm.
person, man. You know, I don't know anybody that ever could have said anything bad about that guy, anything. And it was just sudden, you know, just a sudden thing, sad thing. Um,
Was it,
yeah,
Derek, was it harder because like we're in the middle of the pandemic in 2020, right? Was
yeah,
did that make it even harder?
I think so. There was
Yeah.
actually, me personally, I lost two other best friends since kindergarten in the last around the same exact time
Yeah.
as Eric. So it was kind of like for me, it was like people just dropping like flies, you know,
Yeah.
good friends of mine, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but you know, life goes on. You just got to keep on plugging away. You know, I'm fortunate to have a big family
Yeah.
and lots of great friends, and my bandmates are my friends and stuff like that. We
Yeah.
hang out together and all the time still. So there's enough of us, gang, to keep traveling.
Celebrate the memories with the folks that you have around
That's
you,
right.
and honor their memory with the great music that you guys play, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And do that. Um, when you weren't doing Babylon AD, you recorded an album with your other band, American Blues Box, and you mentioned Moonshine as well.
Mhm.
And when you weren't collaborating on those projects, Derek, you were busy releasing 3 solo albums.
Yeah.
Go ahead, and I want to say, go ahead and inspire all the musicians out there listening to this who live in, one lane. Where does all the passion come from to do what you do? And how do you just keep rolling like that?
Well, I listen to lots of different types of music. Well, maybe not lots compared to most people, but to be honest with you, man, like right now, I'm going through my Bob Dylan, Simon and Garfunkel, Neil Young phase. You know what I mean? I really never went through that phase before. I went through my Elmore James, Son House uh, phase. You know, I went through my Sade meets James Brown at Al Green's house with Marvin Gaye phase.
Yeah.
You know, so I think and I always when I'm writing, I don't typically sit down with a guitar and say, I'm gonna write this today. It just whatever happens, happens. A lot of times it's whatever guitar or whatever keyboard I'm playing on kind of like sets a tone of what I'm writing. So then it goes to that. And I kind of just put the songs in a box like this.
Hmm.
This goes in the Babylon AD box. This goes in my soul box. This goes in my, whatever blues box, you know.
Yeah.
And it's funny you said that because just a little while ago I was listening to some of the stuff that I have demoed, but I haven't listened to a long time. I just happened to press a button on my iPhone, and it went like Derek Davis tunes, you know. So I pressed. I went, oh yeah, I remember this song. Wow, this song's a really. I'm thinking myself, this song is a kick-ass song. No one's ever heard it but me. Then I'll get to the next one. Wow, this song's awesome. Like, I'm seeing the video of it. You
Yeah.
know, that song that I'm talking about right now is a song called Glass Jaw that I actually wrote with Eric. If you heard that song, though, you'd go, wow, this is some kind of like David Bowie meets Nine Inch Nails. You know what I mean? It's just, it's in left field. It wouldn't fit Babylon AD no matter what I would try to do with it.
Right.
It just wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? So I just keep on writing, man, and whatever I like. When you watch a movie, right? You don't just watch the same type of movies. I'm just
Oh,
an action movie, and that's all I'm gonna watch. You watch lots of different movies, and you like different actors and different stories for different reasons, right? That's the same way I write songs, man. It just whatever happens, and if it goes,
I'm in awe. I'm in awe when I hear you say, "Hey, I could build this song," and and I get what you're saying. You create it and you go, "This isn't the Babylon sound. This is this other thing over here." I'm just in awe that you can do it, separate it, and
yeah,
then go and tackle it as something else, or say, "Oh, I'm going to tackle this one as Babylon." So, um, but Derek, you were creating new music. You drew some controversy with some new music that you did in 2022 with your song and video, "What Is Up Is Down." As you
well,
reference woke mind virus, citing graphic cancel culture, woke culture.
oh,
What brings you to pen this?
You're talking about What Is Up Is Down?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wrote that song. I was a little pissed off. Everything I seen on the news was, you got to be this. You better do this. You better not do this. And it seemed like a bunch of smart ass little college people running around with their green hair. And I'm going to, cancel you. And I'm going to cancel you. And then you watch some TV shows like The View. And how dare that lady do this? How dare, it's like, I just want to say, you, man, I'm going to write a song about all you people who are picking on everybody. You know what I mean? We all don't have to conform.
Yeah.
We all don't have to stay in a straight line or stay in the same box. Why can't we do whatever we want? And like, who are you to tell us what to do, or tell me what to do, or tell someone else what to do, or tell me what I like? Maybe you like chicken, I like steak. So you're going to say to everybody, I don't like him, and nobody of my friends better like him because he likes steak. What the fuck? You know what I mean? So I basically wrote a song. Yeah, I dig the song, man. It's really soulful and everything. But that's what it's about, man. It was a play on screw you, cancel culture. You know what I mean? So
Oh, that's wild. That's what. So did you catch some heat for it, or
did I what?
did you catch some heat? Did you catch some heat for it?
Oh yeah, I didn't even put it out for about a month or so. My wife was like, I don't know if you should put that out. People are going to be mad at you. And I get, that is my point, man. That's exactly my point. She's worried that people are going to get mad at me because I got a song talking about people getting mad at other people. And so finally one day I said, fuck it, I'm going to put it out right now. I don't care what anybody says. And yeah, I did get a little slack from people. Like, they wouldn't say, how dare you, but like, they get they're the cancel culture people.
Yeah.
I'm speaking my mind, saying what I want to say. You know what I mean? About America and about our beliefs and our just our system of justice and everything, how it all works together, the way I see it. But that doesn't mean it has to be the way they see it. You know what I mean? And yeah, so I did get a little bit of heat from that, but I don't care. I look at it this way: it's a badge of honor if I do get heat. If I don't, then I'm not doing something right on that kind of song. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
and you know what? Like you were talking earlier, the different bands and stuff, and it we needed that. I think we need rock and roll, and we need the rock music to do that again, because I think we stopped doing it, right, for a little while.
I just wanted to take a stick and poke it in their damn eye. You know what I mean? Wake up here. Let me clean your brain a little bit, man. Everybody's not the same. We're not all robots.
Now, on that note, with the controversy in the video, and you guys doing that, and um, do you think do you think we're still spinning a bit out of control, like right now, today?
Yes, I do. I think the AI thing is even scarier, to be honest with you. You know, I think that's going to spin us way out of control pretty soon.
Are
But
you gonna do?
that's my opinion, though. I don't know. I
Yeah.
could be 100% wrong. Matter of fact, I hope I am wrong.
Do you think the stuff that like you're doing when you bring some of that awareness with the song, do you think that's gonna help us out some more though?
I doubt it, man. I think people are already jumping down that rabbit hole
Yeah,
more and
eh?
more. It seems to me every single day I hear different stuff of people talking about the great thing AI is and all this other kind of crap. But I actually seen on Friday on the BBC, there was the godfather of AI who thought of the whole damn thing. He's an older guy. Man, if you listen to this guy talk, if the rest of the whole wide world would watch this show and
Yeah.
see what he was saying, everybody would be like, stop right now, stop it. You know what I mean? Elon Musk is saying in 6 months, it's going to be there's not going to be a human being on Earth that's ever lived that's going to be smarter than AI. And
You know,
the guy,
it's interesting because the
the guy
soft
on the BBC was saying that when it takes over, it is going to take over and try to take over the human race. I mean, it sounds crazy like a science fiction
it
movie,
does, it does.
but I mean, that's what he's saying. And he
Yeah.
was the creator of it like from 50 years ago, you
Do
know?
you remember was it the Smashing Pumpkins, Bobby Corgan there? He at one point I thought he had said, I could be wrong, that artificial intelligence, he wanted it to replace everybody in the band or something to that effect, eh? And have, and that's kind of scary even for our music. It's kind of scary, right? Like
Uh,
I know the software that I'm using with you here right now tonight. I have these options to leverage artificial intelligence. I haven't turned any of it on
yeah.
because I don't know. I'm not ready to use it. So
Well,
I'm not ready to use
I,
it.
I have a friend that's a songwriter, and he scared the shit out of me a couple weeks ago. He doesn't have he's got a recording studio at his house, but it's not, you know, a
Yeah.
really good one and everything like that. And so he sent me this song. He said, "What do you think?" I said, "Ah, that's pretty cool, man. Yeah, I like it. You know, it had a good driving beat. It
Yeah.
was about AI too, which is weird. The lyrics were about AI, how AI was going to take over the world. It
Right.
was kind of like that, but there was a big chorus, like a Motley Crue type of chorus, you know, a guy singing. I swear to God, I thought it was him singing. I thought it was a band. He said, "No, dude." He goes, "You know how I wrote that song?" I go, "Why? How?" And he goes, "All I did was talk into my computer AI. It took me 2 hours to write this song. I told it what I wanted, what chords I wanted to use. I wanted a
Wow.
big chorus that did this, blah, blah, blah. I wanted this. This was the song about AI, how it takes over the world, kind of like your song Wrecking Machine in a way. I did." He said, "I didn't do anything." I said, "Man, you got to be kidding me." And I swear the guy's voice kind of sounded like Mark Slaughter's or something.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was a good voice and it was a good chorus, everything. And I'm like, and he was saying, "Dude, the music, it's over, man. It's over for us in another couple of years." But he was kind of saying like it's a good thing for people like him that don't have a studio and all. I'm saying, man, you got to be crazy. I go, that means a 98-year-old man, a 4-year-old child could
Yeah.
just write a song. You know, what kind of talent is that? I said, that's cheating. That's cheating, man. You
Yeah,
can't,
it is.
you know what I mean? That's like finger painting a Van Gogh artist and say, "Oh, I did that." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You didn't
I
do
don't know.
shit.
I couldn't tell you what, like, again, I'm projecting on artists. I couldn't tell you what the joy would that, what joy
I
would
know.
that be as an artist to say that
Yeah.
that you did that. I don't know. And even myself as a listener, I like the real Derek Davis, and I
Well,
like what
yeah,
the real Derek
and
Davis does. So,
he was explaining to me is like he said, "Okay, so what you say to it, you say to the AI, you know, whatever it's called,
yeah.
uh put in the most popular chord structures of the last 2 year hit songs." And it'll be like, you know, C, D, A, B, G at
Right.
this tempo or whatever. These are the most popular chord structures. Oh, okay, this is what everybody's listening to. Put in the most popular vocal that blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? I'm like, to me, it's just, it's insane, man, that you could think that you created that. No, you didn't create shit,
No.
man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
A little bit off the beaten path here, and then we're gonna bring it back to music. There was a computer company, and I don't want to mention the computer company who it was or whatever, but there was this artificial intelligence bot, and they had a couple of different computers, and the two computers were sending messages to each other, right, as part of the programming. And
Mhm.
what the programmers noticed is that the two computers started sending messages
Communicating.
to each other
Yeah.
they started to create their own language.
Created their own language. That's what,
Yeah, and they couldn't figure out what was
yeah.
going on, what they were saying to each other,
Yeah.
and they ended up shutting it down because they
Yeah.
said, "You know what? We're really not sure what's going on here. There's
Yeah.
communication, and we don't understand what they're
I
communicating."
read the same story, I think, in the Wall
Yeah,
Street Journal a few months
isn't
back.
that wild?
Like, what's going on? We better shut these things off
Yeah,
because as soon as they can communicate without us knowing what the hell they're talking about,
right.
it's over for us.
Right? All right, let's bring it back to music. Look, you're no stranger to bringing some lightning to the world, Derek. You do this last year with the release from Perris Records, Live Lightning, featuring your top 10 rock radio classics. The album touts the band's powerful live performance energy. Do you consider Babylon more of a live band than a studio? And whatever the answer is, has that changed through the years?
Um, you know, I've always thought we were a kick-ass live band, you know, and we've always had great reviews. People just said, "Man, these guys," because we've always, to be honest with you, you know, we've always kind of looked at it as like you're in a street fight. You're not going to lose. You got to get up on stage and kick ass.
Yeah.
You don't just get up there and start smiling and have a fun time and dance around and, you know, this kind of stuff. Like I see some of these band guys, and then they got their big fake background vocals with their four girls over there and the piano player and all that other shit. You know, we like just to keep it raw and rare and real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that gives us a little bit of attitude. But at the same time, man, like the other night when we played, I swear, man, there were people this close to me, like where my hand is, you know, and they're just screaming in my face of the lyrics, you know. And it was really cool, but it's like, wow, this is crazy that 30 years later, the guy's going, hammer swings down, you know. And so every once in a while, hey, I could do a Vince Neil. Let me hear you. You know what I mean? Well, although I could sing it.
Ouch.
I had to get that in there.
Poor
But
Vince. Poor Vince.
yeah.
We love you, Vince. We still love you.
Yeah. So
Uh,
yeah, it's cool, man. But I love being in the recording studio, man. Whether it's doing the Babylon D stuff or my stuff or whoever stuff, you know.
yeah.
I dig it, man. It's just like
It seems online, Derek. We love you. We love you live. Like that's what I'm hearing the fans say is we love Babylon AD live.
yeah.
You guys are, you bring that atmosphere and that rockin' atmosphere. Now look, we know Rome wasn't built in a day. And while that is the name of your new album that was released on May 17th, 2024 on Perris Records, is that a reference to where Babylon AD is today? Or what's the message we should take from this title? Rome wasn't built in a day.
Well, you know, at first I just thought it was a really cool title. You know what I mean? And I've heard it, of course I heard it before, but for some reason when I was writing the song, I came across I had these images, you know, you know, the gladiators walk before you. That's what they say. Rome wasn't built in a day. Yeah, that's it. You know, that's kind of how I write songs. You know, oh shit, man, I better write that down. I was going to forget it, you know. But just the gladiator line, you know, popped me into like, oh, okay, yeah, that's what this is about. And that Rome part will fit perfect. So that was the original idea, but as time went on, as we're writing the rest of the songs on the album and everything, it started there's been a few people that have said to me like, this sounds like a concept record a little bit, and I can kind of see what they're talking about a little bit, you know. Sometimes love is hell, you know, like the titles kind of have this kind of, you know, not darkness to them, but they kind of fit with the word Babylon AD and the mystique of uh, ancient times, Roman times, whatever they may be, Greek times, whatever. But it just kind of has that little bit of mystique to it. But and then we thought to ourselves, well, it has been 6 years since the last studio album came out. So yeah, Rome wasn't built in a day, man. You know what I mean? It kind of just all went together.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Love the title and love your sort of arc, your journey as you start out with this and then you realize, and I love concept albums too. I love the story of an album and how things kind of gel together.
I do too. So now I might want to try to write one. Good idea.
Look, how do you guys record this album? I mean, I know a lot of bands have been recording tracks on their own, and sometimes, like I'm hearing, oh, well, we send each other the track, and he lives here, I live there, we'll mix later.
Yeah.
Do we have some of that going on here, or is this everybody came in the studio and you guys
No,
did the
I have a recording studio at my house. I've had it here for like 15 years, you know. But I like to record the drums at a bigger studio. So we used 25th Street Recordings in Oakland, and they're a great studio, huge studio with all the old reel to reels and everything like that, and 2-inch tape, and we wanted that big fat sound. You know what I mean? So then after we had the drums, now we could do the rest at my house, at my studio, because it functions, with it's good for recording guitars, vocals, everything else. Probably could have did the drums here, but I don't think we would have got it wouldn't have been the sound wouldn't have been as good, because you got that big room, and that which plays a lot into it. A lot of people compress the shit out of the drums where you don't hear that stuff anymore, but I try to keep it as real as I possibly can. I don't use I don't use that many plugins or any of that kind of stuff. Or like when we do our background vocals and things like that, there's no, oh, I'm just going to fly this over here and I sing it one time. You know what I mean? White hot bullet from the gun. I'm not going to just keep cutting and pasting. Right. I see everybody doing that now, man. It's like, that's like the AI thing to me. It's like, you're a cheater. You're cheating just to make things easier, man. Just sing it again. You know what I mean?
So the kickoff song "Wrecking Machine," it's been making some chart noises, and critics are saying, and maybe this is part of it. You just gave me a little a soundbite there. Some are saying that it captures some early Babylon AD energy,
Mhm.
Is it
Yeah.
because of how you went to the recording studio and went for that sound, or?
We didn't. Uh, I don't know subconsciously if we were really thinking about that the whole time, but we were aware, like I was, anyways, when we started when I got the drum tracks and started laying down the bass. I started listening to our first two albums. A lot of times I don't really
Mm.
even think about that, but this time I did. I said I want to keep Babylon AD's album kind of have weight. That's the only way I could explain it, because I'll put on other records that were made at the same exact time as that album, especially the first one was, and you'll put it on and you'll go like, well, there's no bottom on this album compared to that one. And when you're in the car, you realize all that kind of stuff. But when you're sitting in a studio and you crank it up to certain levels, you can really tell where stuff's sat. You know
Right.
what I mean? Or sits. So consciously, whenever I was mixing, and even when we went to the mastering stages uh, with DNA mastering, I had them add a little bit more weight to the bottom, even though I thought we had plenty of weight, because that's the Babylon AD sound. It has oomph to it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
A lot of bands are missing that low end. That's kind of, it's not overtaking everything, but it's like, I don't know, man. That kind of gives you solid foundation, you know. So I think that the songs represent well just because of the mixes. They have that same type of idea of the umph. That's
Yeah,
the only way I could put it.
it's not easy to capture that. So sometimes you do an album and you have that sound, and we hear it a lot, right? Fans another album comes out and you go, but it sounds different. And now they're kind
Yeah,
of going, oh, but it's got that vibe, it's got that essence, it's got
yeah.
that, that familiarity of when, these guys first
Well,
started out, sort of thing. So
yeah. Have you heard the Rolling Stones brand new album that just came out about a few months ago?
bits and pieces, Derek, bits and pieces, yeah.
I tell you what, there are some really
Yeah.
kick-ass great songs on that. Not the first single though, which is weird because I don't like that first single at all. And then I bought the album and I listened to it the other day. I was like, damn, there's some great
Yeah.
songs on this album, right? Why did they pick that Guilty song or whatever it was first? Because that song is, to me, it's just
Right.
the B side of everything. But talk about production difference. It don't really sound like the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
It's heavier guitars, heavier drums. So in that sense, I'm sitting there listening to it going, well, I guess it's what the Rolling Stones would be in 2024. But I mean, I'm missing that clean, you know,
The
just
Rolling Stones, right? You're missing the
I'm
Rolling
missing,
Stones.
I'm missing
Yeah.
that. I'm missing the Rolling Stones. I don't want a big old snare going do do
Yeah.
duh on the Stones. I
Yeah.
want that jazzy kind of snappy kind of sound,
Yeah.
I want Keith Richards and Ronnie Wood's clanky Telecasters, clink, clink, clink. And here they're ding, ding, ding. It's like, wow, that's kind of weird. Did they do that on purpose? So I know what you're talking about. And I'm not sure why they did that. I think the songs that they have on the album, there's some really killer songs. They would have been just as good without all that heaviness to them. You know what I mean?
Well, when I was listening to your stuff and bringing it back to Wrecking Machine, I got that same vibe too. So I was like, yeah, man, there's I'm rediscovering that sound again. Is Wrecking Machine is it a show opener or a closer by any means?
Yeah, it is the opener. We just played it for the very first time the
Oh,
other
right
night.
on.
Our first show. We're playing the Whiskey on June 7th.
Yeah.
It's about 3 weeks from now, in Hollywood, and that's our opener now. Yeah.
Right on. So little tidbit that's what you get to open the show with. Look, you started talking about tours. You have some shows currently booked into late September. I'm sure you're gonna add new ones now that the new album is
Oh yeah,
out.
we're
It's gonna
getting their
keep picking
dates
up
are rolling
steam.
in every day. We haven't been able to get them on the website fast enough
Yeah,
though.
I and that's we're gonna talk about the website too. What do you look forward to most as you head out, and share the new music at the shows?
Um, just that I'm just hoping to get new fans. There's a lot of old fans. There's a lot of places we go, and
Yeah.
of course we love all the fans that have been there before. There'll be a lot of familiar faces. We'll go to Salt Lake City and they'll be like, "Hey, I know you. I know you. I know that kind of thing." Or you hang out with them for a day or two. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's always good for a band that's where we're at to gain new fans. You know what I mean? So that we can keep on going. It gives us more energy, right? You know, it's better to have 1,000 than 100. You know, so I'd love to play to packed houses. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It would be very sad. It would be a very sad day if we got up on stage and 60 people in the house. We'd be like,
Uh,
what's the point? But
right.
luckily we never really hit that bottom yet. You know what I mean? I know a lot of bands that have, you know.
You know what? The album is, you got a strong album, you got a strong sound, and people are excited, about Babylon AD and with the new music. Look, I know you're a busy music guy. You've given us some great songs over the years. I know you also have done some production work, and you talked a little bit about some of these names when we were talking earlier. You've collaborated on songs with writers and producers like Jack Ponti of Alice Cooper and Bon Jovi, Tom Werman, Motley Crue, and Cheap Trick, Taylor Rhodes, Aerosmith, Gene Black, Rod Stewart, Michael Anthony, Van Halen.
Oh
You've had
man.
your music in movies and soundtracks. You've toured all over. Um, with having done all that stuff, what would you say your greatest accomplishment is to date?
Well, I mean, I'd have to say having my son, right?
There
Unless I get in trouble. Marrying my wife. Hey,
we
man,
go. Yeah.
you think I'm gonna stay away from that? I'll get in trouble, boy.
Smart guy,
I
Derek.
don't
Smart
know.
guy.
Just how about this, man? I would just advise everybody out there that's a musician, just stay true to yourself, man. And one time Rod Stewart had a song and he said, never give up on a dream. And I'd always stayed with me. Always. Never give up on a dream. You know what I mean? Just never give up on it.
Yeah.
You know, something will happen, man, as long as you don't give up. I remember when I was a kid seeing Y&T. They're
Oh
from our,
yeah.
our neck of the woods for the first
Yeah.
time in high school.
Yeah.
Man, my jaw was on the ground, and I said, I want to be like that guy, Dave Medichetti. You know what I
Right.
mean? For the longest time, man, I wanted to be that guy. I mean, I played guitar every day. I mean, all my bands were hard rock, like a Y&T thing. You know what I mean? And then you kind of grow out of it and you start finding yourself. You know what I mean?
But you started early when you were a kid. You were 7 years old when you forgot for your first recording equipment, right?
Yeah. And I started playing drums. I wanted to be like Mickey Dolenz and the Monkees. He was my hero. It's so funny. So like that never give up on a green thing. I
Yeah.
always, man, I'd love to meet Mickey Dolenz. When I was a little kid, I used to think that. I used to dream about being the Monkees or the Beatles or the Stones or something like that.
Hey, we're the monkeys.
Yeah. And I don't know what I thought Mickey Dolenz was funny and he had a cool voice and everything like that. And I've met Mickey Dolenz 3 times in my life and hung out with him one time for like about 4 hours at a place, hanging out, drinking beers with him. I'm like, how does this kid 30 years later be hanging out with Mickey Dolenz? This is a trip. There must be a God. There must be fate for some reason. You know what I mean?
The same fate that brought me here with Derek Davis tonight, man. It's awesome. It's awesome. Hopefully someday I get to meet you in person too, Derek. Look, you have a couple of websites, babylonband.com and derekdavismusic.com. I know there's artists who have like other social media preferences. Where do we get the best bang for our Babylon AD content, Derek?
I think BabylonADBand.com, or they can go to the Facebook Babylon AD.
Yeah.
We're always posting something on that just because it's easy to post. The Babylon AD website probably gets updated once a week, once every 2 weeks. But the Facebook thing is kind of like a community. Everybody's talking, and band members or friends are always, it's more interactive. So
Now, is that you guys? Is that Derek and the band on the Facebook site doing that stuff?
yeah, or Dylan or
Yeah.
whoever, yeah.
Okay, cool. So fans, we'll get those in the show notes so fans can go there. Look, man, it's been a real treat to have you on the show. I want to thank you for sharing the Babylon AD and Derek Davis experience with us. It a super super treat for me. Hopefully I didn't fan out on you too bad in any of the questions or as we were chatting. Is there anything
No,
else you'd like to leave us with before you get going, Derek?
just remember
Yeah.
that Rome wasn't built in a day.
Right on.
It took a week.
With good music and funny moments and great stories, that is rocker to the core. Derek Davis bringing us to Babylon AD in 2024. And if we're looking for a heartbeat, their new album, Rome Wasn't Built in a Day, is the wrecking machine after the hammer swings down. And we find ourselves crashing into the sun and back in Babylon with a white hot bullet. and our fingers tapping Play It Again while we refresh our Babylon AD playlist. I'll have Derek and Babylon AD's links in the show notes. Thank you for doing this with us, Derek. And thank you so much. Wishing you and the band the best and hope to have you back on the show sometime.
Awesome. Thank you very much, man. It's been great.
Take care, sir.